Hi. Climate change is the defining issue of our time. It is the ultimate test for our global community to unite and meet a challenge that knows no boundaries. The United Nations has been leading the effort to address climate change for 23 years, bringing together thousands of scientists from around the world to share their climate studies. As you all know, the reports from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change have shown ever-rising average global temperatures. The United Nations has also brought countries from around the world to attempt to negotiate climate agreements. The UN Framework Convention on Climate Change is the treaty by which governments agreed to meet annually since 1995. It amazes me it's been so many years. And the meetings are called Conferences of the Parties. That's the reason for the COP abbreviation. The conference that starts tomorrow is a culmination of efforts, and yet we need to consider it a first step. The goal of the COP21 is to finalize negotiations on a treaty that applies to all countries, each one to make their own individual policy decisions on how to limit global warming. The goal is to keep global warming below 2 degrees centigrade, which in Fahrenheit would be 3.6 degrees. And that is a level that is now considered way too high by some scientists. These 2 weeks of final negotiations are not expected to achieve the commitments needed for us to keep global warming at a safe level. That is why the culmination of the treaty is really a first step. Consider the difficulty of getting over 190 countries, very different countries, to come to an agreement. And because negotiations are done by consensus, not by majority, groups of countries, including our own, have often blocked progress. That's one of the reasons we're going so slowly on this. So much more needs to be done. That is why our climate rallies here, throughout our nation and around the world, are so important. To new ways of living in balance with our nature, with the environment. After the tragic terrorist attacks in Paris, the massive demonstrations that were planned, as you know, were not permitted. That makes our rallies elsewhere so much more important. Will humanity be able to transition to a carbon-neutral future soon enough? The world has the required human, financial, and technological resources. What we need is a social and political will to fully deploy them, and sooner rather than later. The UN provides an international legal framework for our governments to collaborate to reduce emissions, build climate resilience. This groundswell of action here and around the world will continue beyond Paris. Thank you.